Today we are going to talk about when skincare is not self-care. It feels like every single time something good comes around, big companies find a way to ruin it for us. And we're really going to discuss what self-care is and what it isn't, and how skincare plays into it, but what you need to know and kind of see when it comes to, what the marketing and beauty industry is trying to do. And that's actually something that we should start on. The beauty industry was built off of selling women the idea that they were not good enough, creating a need to feel more beautiful, and playing into that fear or that desire to be wanted and loved, and basically making us feel like we need things in order to be societally accepted. And there is something to say about owning your own beauty, making choices for yourself, feeling empowered, using beauty to express yourself and kind of define how you show up in the world. And that is empowering and important. But that is very different than shopping for something based on the need to impress someone else, or trying to look a certain way in order to receive love or validation from other people. And that's why beauty is so important to me. I personally feel that when you identify and, acknowledge someone else's beauty, you are acknowledging them as a human. You are acknowledging their human rights and their right to feel loved and belonging and worthy and, something to be desired. Now, self-care is also very important. Self-care is the idea of taking care of yourself so you don't get burnt out. It's making sure that you do prioritize things that matter to you so that you can live life in a fulfilling way. And that does happen differently for different people. And you always hear me say skincare is self-care because it is. Let's dive into when that is true, but how that is currently being twisted, and there's some psychological manipulation going on in which companies are just trying to use this new self-care idea to just push their products on you. You know that feeling, that rush that you get when you purchase a new product? That is not self-care. That is a dopamine rush. It is a neurotransmitter being triggered inside of our brain that creates this rush, almost this addictive feeling, which, the compulsion to shop is very different than a shopping addiction. Definitely see a therapist or a psychologist about that if you think that you're struggling with it. I will leave some links and references down below. But a lot of these companies are saying, oh, buy our product to enjoy self-care. You need to have this. That is not true. Self-care is not that rush that you get when you buy a new product. Self-care is using different tools and different habits and routines in your life to make sure that you're taking care of yourself so that you have not just optimal beauty, but optimal health and well-being. Self-care is, yes, hygiene and skincare, but it's also going for a walk or exercising. It's also taking time to meditate. It's reading a book, spending time with friends and family. If consumed appropriately, even things such as social media could be self-care. And because it's so individualized, what we as ourselves individually need is so different. Self-care comes in many different forms. But the idea that you need to buy certain items in order to practice self-care or keep up with self-care is not true. Skincare is a tool to facilitate self-care. Running shoes and sneakers or a gym membership, those are tools that can facilitate self-care. Just the way a camera is a tool that a photographer uses to create their art or expression, or a doctor uses a stethoscope as a tool to listen to someone's heartbeat or lung sounds. Skincare and these other items are tools that we can use to feel empowered and to commit to this practice of really taking time to put ourselves first. And as I'm even thinking about this, I'm trying to think of if there's actually anything that you can purchase and buy with money that is self-care. I would argue that there's not. I would argue the only actual thing that you can directly trade money, tangible money for that is self-care is therapy, counseling, or psychology. I feel like those sessions are the only way you can actually trade physical money for self-care, because your emotional health and well-being is the most important thing for you. If education is a form of self-care for you, then I would argue that that is a close second runner-up. But things such as skincare, they are hygiene, they are important, but they are tools that we use to partake in this practice. And I think that's important to identify because a lot of us weren't taught self-care growing up, right? I had this conversation on Instagram with, the beYoutiful butterfly community, and I specifically asked, what is something that everyone seems to know that is so basic that you just weren't taught? Think about it. Did your parents ever yell at you for cleaning your room, telling you to tidy up? But were you ever taught how to organize a closet? I had someone else share that she was always told to do her laundry, but no one ever taught her how. How do you use bleach versus detergent versus the smelly soap versus the fabric softener? And don't even get me started on taxes, right? We are, of course, expected and legally obligated to pay our taxes, but no one ever teaches us how. Unless you literally study finance and economics in college, you don't get that kind of information. And how can we be expected to practice something that we weren't taught? There's even a TED Talk, I believe it's with a monk, I'll have to find his exact name and I'll link it in the bottom tab below, but he talks about concentration being taught. It's not something that we have, it's something that we're taught. And with, 15-second TikToks and 30-second Instagram videos, it's becoming harder and harder to pay attention to things for long periods of time. But just the way we can learn kind of this fast thinking, we can also learn concentration. We just have to be taught to do so. And how we tie that back to self-care is that nobody taught us how to have self-care. So when a marketer or a company steps in and starts selling these products to us and telling us that this is the key to self-care, we want that feeling. We want to take part in that and take care of ourselves. So we go buy it. But most people don't realize, because they weren't taught, this is just a tool that facilitates it. For me, self-care is my skincare routine. My products change all the time, right? But it's my routine that matters. It's that moment where I'm taking care of myself. I'm checking in with myself in front of the bathroom mirror. I don't always have my phone on me when I'm doing my skincare routine, and it's kind of a meditative moment where I just have a moment with my skin. I find touch to be very healing and consoling, and so for me, just touching my face makes me feel better, especially after a rough day. And that 90 seconds or 5 minutes of just applying and layering products in a way that makes me feel excited to use them and that I'm caring for myself is a form of self-care. That routine is a ritual. And guess what? Someone who has a skin condition, someone who is a chronic picker, maybe has certain psychological issues with body dysmorphic disorder or issues with picking, etc. Maybe skincare is not self-care for them because being in front of a mirror can be triggering, or touching their face can be triggering. And that's why it's so individualized and it's different for everyone. So yes, a skincare routine is self-care. It's a piece of hygiene that we are saying this is no longer a chore or an expectation. This is a choice. And I am being empowered by my choices to take care of myself. Same with exercise. A lot of people see exercise as a chore, something they have to do or they have to punish themselves for eating. I hope you've heard this from someone else other than me, but if you haven't, I'm gonna say it again. You do not need to punish your body for eating food, for having nourishment. Your body carries you throughout every single day. Your limbs and muscles carry you throughout every single day. They take you on adventures. They allow you to hug and embrace others. They allow you to create art and work and do amazing things. And as wonderful as our bodies are, they get a lot of shame for the way they look. And I think that we need to take exercise back as a form of self-care and say, no, I'm not exercising because I'm guilty about what I ate or because I need to fix a problem. I'm exercising because I have the choice to. And it's a privilege that not everyone has, and I am going to use it and embrace it and say thank you to my body and enjoy this moment. That's what self-care is. It's a mindset, right? And it's these little things that we do. So yes, you could use a cleanser that is a tool in your self-care routine. You could use gym shoes as a tool that is in your exercise self-care routine. You could have lots of tools and you could switch them out regularly, but that rush that you get from shopping is not self-care, and don't let a marketer or a company sit here and tell you that it is. You should feel empowered by the products you use, and if that means that you like products that smell good and have a fragrance, use the products that have fragrance as long as they are not harmful to you. Even if you love an avocado face mask because it makes you feel fancy, I'm gonna sit here and be snarky and roll my eyes about it all day, but if that's what makes you feel good, and if you know the associated risks or benefits or non-benefits, you do it because it makes you feel good, and that is you standing up for yourself and practicing self-care. The only thing I can't recommend is at-home microneedling, because that actually gets you into physical danger, scarring, damage, potential bacterial infection, and harming yourself is not a form of self-care. And my goal with this community is to help facilitate these messages. If you agree with me or disagree with me, please comment below. And if you're new here, consider joining, hitting subscribe. Did you know that only about 50% 50% of the people who watch these videos are subscribed. If you've been lurking, I am extending my sanitized hand in your direction to welcome you to join the family. So if you haven't already, hit subscribe and the notification bell so that you can join our self-care movement and really take skincare back as a form of empowerment and get some knowledge and inspiration along the way. Overall, please remember to be beautiful both inside and out. Check in with yourself about what self-care actually is to you, and please leave it in the comments, because I think that when other people share their ideas and opinions, it helps us almost validate or realize some of our own. Always remember to be beautiful both inside and out, and I cannot wait to see you in this next video. Love you guys. Bye.